The president of Keller Williams, Marc King, is stepping down. This is becoming a trend. We just had very recently, a couple of days ago, Remax's Nick Bailey, who was the president and CEO, stepping back from the role. So let's see what's going on with this particular story. This story is courtesy of Inman.com. So Marc King steps down as president of Keller Williams after 3 years as president of KW. Marc King has stepped down from his post. It's unclear where he's going to end up going, but he is going to stay within the organization. CEO Marc Willis will take over King's responsibility. So if the name, don't let the Marks fool you, we have Marc with the C and Marc with the K. But if the name Marc Willis rings a bell, it should, because a couple of, I think it's been over a year now, or roughly a year now, with Marc Willis, where he tried to join eXp Realty in the past, and he was blocked, he was sued, and prevented from moving over to eXp Realty. So he ended up staying with KW and then became the CEO. So now he's going to assume the president role as well after Mr. Willis's departure. So 2 weeks after Keller Williams' annual family reunion, Marc King has stepped down as a Texas-based brokerage president, effective immediately. Inman learned of the news Monday afternoon through an internal email that was sent to the company's more than 180,000 agents. Check that out. This Keller Williams is the largest brokerage brand in the country, I believe the world. In the email, King said it was time to focus on, by the way, 188,000, that's worldwide. King said it was time to focus on his family and personal life, which suffered as he helped guide Keller Williams through an especially tough housing market. So Marc King actually assumed the role of the president in 2021. So what happened in 2021? Well, interest rates started flipping on us and the market started to get a little bit more challenging. And so, yeah, right at the time where he was taking over, you saw the booming real estate markets slow down drastically. You saw the brakes start being applied. So it was a heck of a time to transition into a already tough role. Add on top of that the huge change in real estate landscape, you have a big situation on your hands. My heart is full of gratitude for every opportunity I have had here, and I can say I've given every role 100% effort and heart, he said. It is now time for me to truly put God and family first, shout out, and then focus on business. The pandemic, social unrest, wars, fires, lawsuits, and market contraction. Oh, don't put it so lightly, Mr. Willis. Required more time on business, and it's time that I make up for that. Kudos to this man, assuming that this is his decision that he has made as opposed to being encouraged to step down. Kudos to you to have that self-awareness and putting God and family first. That is awesome. Returning KW giant Marc Willis, again, Marc Willis was the individual that tried to join eXp but was blocked from joining eXp, ended up staying at KW and became the CEO of KW. He's assuming King's responsibilities and will take on the dual role of president and CEO. We respect and admire and are grateful for Marc's work as president. That is what the other Marc had to say. Now, since Keller Williams is publicly owned, it's not required to publish earnings each quarter. However, during the company's latest conference, so the family reunion that happened a couple of weeks ago, Willis said agent growth has been flat over the past year and called for company leaders to usher in a new era of banner recruitment and retention as KW aims to take the franchise crown from anywhere. So we've seen quarterly reports from Remax. We've seen quarterly reports from Compass, from eXp Realty, from the publicly traded companies, from Real as well. And outside of Real and eXp, the other brands either had negative growth all the other brands except eXp and Real had negative growth nationally here in the United States. Outside, the international growth, they had growth. So they had Remax was that way, Compass was that way. So outside, actually not Compass, Remax was that way. And they had a growth outside of the country. So there it was growing, but in the States, it wasn't as much. So KW, although there are no numbers as it's saying here, there's no publicly available information, you can read in between the lines of when it says flat growth, it's certainly not positive, right? So you need agents to sell more homes at the end of the day. Along with the announcement of King's departure, Keller Williams confirmed rumors of another round of layoff. The layoffs include 30 full-time employees across several departments and were the result of the company's renewed focus on its core strengths and advantages, which essentially was education. All right, so you have 30 full-time employees that have been laid off. As for the layoffs that occurred, we wish all those people the very best and are massively grateful for their contributions. Willis explained in a written statement. The reduction in force, approximately 30 people, reflects the direction to get back to our core strengths and advantages. So here again, coaching, training, and proprietary technology. A company spokesperson said all 30 employees have received severance packages and will retain their benefits until the end of the month. All employees, he said, have been encouraged to apply for other positions within the company. Well, I wonder how many will actually take them up on that. I guess the only other position that they could potentially pursue would be becoming agents, because this is not the employees, or these are W-2 employees. These are not non-sales agents. So I guess that's what they're alluding to. Because if you wanted to retain them, then you would have found a different seat on the bus, at least in my opinion. Now, it's not uncommon to have information like this kind of happen all at once, right? So you're not gonna ticky-tack all these different changes that you're making. You're gonna batch your news in one fell swoop. Now, typically, I would expect this to happen on a Friday, not necessarily on a Monday when this happened, given that Friday is typically when you try to bury the lead as much as possible, because at that point, there's not as many people that are writing about it, and not as much happening. So you typically like to bury this type of news when it comes to sharing this information. Now, it's not uncommon for this type of information as far as a change in leadership, which is a drastic change in leadership, for the good or the better. I don't really have much experience with KW outside of doing transactions with KW agents and coaching a few agents along the way. So I've never been with KW. I'm familiar with their motto, of course, but I've just never been with KW itself to understand what it's like inside of the red. But it's not uncommon for this type of leadership change and also layoffs like this to be announced after major events. So as you saw earlier, they just had their family reunion. You're not going to make this announcement before the family reunion, so where everybody can come together and then just start asking questions. Take notes, NAR, which is exactly what happened with NAR. Well, that's unfair. NAR has had just a revolving door around president, CEO, and all the leadership there, and it really wasn't their decision on letting not letting them go. Certain leadership stepping down right before the national convention. It wasn't necessarily their choice to make, but as NAR found out last year during their events, it's their event where you had a previous person that was actually forced out, threatening to come and actually show up to their national event, the national conference. You don't do this type of information, or you don't do this type of movement prior to a national event. So that's why you're seeing this happen a couple of weeks after this family reunion, which is KW's main thing. All right, well, this is interesting. Let me know in the comments section down below. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Especially you KW agents, I want to hear from you. What is happening? Is this, are you hearing some good things out of this, some bad things out of this? Just from the a few minutes worth of, since this was announced, I was looking through some Facebook groups to see what the pulse was. A lot of the individuals were sharing, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this leadership. He's a good person. I'm going to miss this person. These were people that actually had at least a relationship with this individual. So I'm curious to see what the overall pulse is there in KW. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you tomorrow.